Assalamu alaikum guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel Biology Articles and MCQs. Today we are going to start the synovial joints classification. In the previous topic you have learned about the synovial joints, and now we are starting the types of the synovial joints. In the types of the synovial joints there are total 6 types. First is hinge joint. The second is saddle joint, the third is planar joint, then pivot joint, condyloid joint, and last one is ball and socket joint. In this video you will learn about the hinge joint. The definition of the hinge joint and the movement of hinge joint, and you will also go through the examples of the hinge joint. First of all, you have to learn one thing about the hinge joint, that why it is called hinge joint. It is called hinge joint because the mechanism of the movement of the bones which are present along the hinge joint is same as the mechanism of the hinge that is present in the door. This metallic thing, as you are seeing present in the door, is called hinge. So the mechanism of the movement of the hinge joint will be the same as the mechanism of the hinge in the door. As you have noticed that the movement of the door is in such a way that the door will always move, and the second portion of the hinge is present on the wall which will not move. So the hinge joint will move the bones in the same way that one bone will always remain stationary and the other bone will move. So let's move to the structure and the mechanism of the movement of hinge joint. Let's start the structure of the hinge joint. Here you can see a diagram with the two bones. First is the upper arm bone, and you know that the upper arm bone is called humerus. And the second are the lower arm bones, and the lower arm bones are called radius and ulna. You have to note that the upper arm bone has a knob structure, but this structure is a rounded shape structure in one end, and the lower arm bones have a structure which is called cup, which is a hollow shaped structure. You will always remember, you have to always remember that when you will study the hinge joint, the bones will which are present along the hinge joint will always consist of a knob, and the second bone will always consist of a cup. So the movement will be in such a way that the bones having a knob or a rounded shape structure will remain stationary, while the bone having a cup or a hollow shape structure will move. You can see here in the diagram there are two words written, forwards and backward. Means that bone you can move this bone in that direction and in the backward direction also. But you will not be able to move the upper arm bone or the bone which is consisting of a knob. According to the examples of the hinge joint, there are main two examples of the hinge joint. The first example is elbow joint. You can see in the diagram this bone is called humerus, and there are two bones. This bone, the upper arm bone is humerus, and the lower arm bones are radius and ulna, as you have studied in the previous lectures. These bones have a single joint present between them that is called hinge joint. The function of the hinge joint is the movement of the two bones towards your biceps and away from your biceps. You will notice that when you move your arm, the movement of the radius and ulna is always obvious, but the humerus will not move. So it is an example of hinge joint when where the one bone moves while the other bone present will not move, it will remain stationary. The second main example of the hinge joint is knee joint, that is present on your at the place of the knee. This bone is femur, that is present on your upper leg, and this bone is tibia, and and the third bone is fibula. This tibia and fibula is present in your lower leg. You have to note that the knee joint is always present between the femur, tibia and fibula. This green portion is knee joint, which will help in the movement of your bone. In these bones, the tibia and fibula will move while the femur will remain stationary. So you have studied that in the elbow joint and also in the knee joint there are same mechanism of the movement of bones. One bone will move and the other bone will remain stationary. So share this video with your friends. In the next video we will study about the other types of the joint.